Hi there and happy spring. How many of you are in a place where you can have fresh daffodils and the scent of spring and the color of spring? I encourage any of you, wherever you are, to step into nature and be inspired, because all things in creativity, we can sometimes look to nature for the beauty and all that inspires us. I am Sadia Davis, the director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, and today this is our bite-size industry talks. Now, you may say, what happened to the global industry talks? Well, we're bringing them back, and we're very excited to do that in May. But before we do that, 2020 was an interesting year, and we are almost at a year anniversary of starting these global industry talks, which right now with the bite-sized biz talk, we're bringing bite-sized consumable insights to you at your lunchtime. So going into this 2021, we decided to really take a look at what do our entrepreneurs need. And in doing so, we created our resource roundtable. We do them twice a quarter, and it's from those insights and that information that we curate the rest of our educational programming for that quarter. We found it very informative for Q1, and as we head into Q2 tomorrow, we look forward to sharing with you on April 13th, our first resource roundtable, and then again on April 20th. But before we start with that, I also have to honor that today is the last day of Women's History Month. What have you done? Who are the women that you've supported in your life? And what business ideas have you started to ideate around and begin to create? Which leads us to today's talk. I'm very excited to have Maura Mitchell with us. We're going to hear a bit of her origin story, and then as soon as she finishes, the 10-minute clock begins. So let's get started. Welcome, Maura.
Hi there. Thank you very much, Sadia.
Thank you so much for being with us. You and your organization are so impactful, and I really want to encourage anyone and everyone, that's everyone, not just women, to really take advantage of the opportunities that you provide. And one thing I will note is that today is like a teaser, because we look forward to having a longer conversation with you with a full hour program in the future. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I am a lawyer, and I have an MBA from University of Chicago Booth School of Business. I led my own consulting firm for a while, but through law school, I've realized my inquisitive nature is what I really enjoy. So that's what leads me to my passion when working with startups and entrepreneurs are that I love to help them get out of the building and make sure that there's a market need for the product or service that they're offering. So I enjoy the market research piece, and I have a passion for helping people from ideation up through revenue.
That is so cool. We definitely share that in common. When I look at my life's journey and a lot of the work that I've done, I get really excited to help people. It's like, I don't know. I mean, we also have to help ourselves, right? We're in an interesting inflection point in this world where individuals are creating business. Access to capital is flying open. So it's really interesting, some of the pinpoints in market testing that you discuss. So let's get into it.
Okay. So I guess first of all, the question I'd like to ask is, who do you think is an entrepreneur? Do you think it's the 20-something Silicon Valley type, or do you think it's the 23 million micro enterprises? And what if we gave the same spotlight to the micro enterprises that the Silicon Valley types get? So the point of this picture here is just to show you that there are so many different types. Look, there are 6.8 million Main Street businesses. So we should share the spotlight among all groups.
Right. So I'm looking at this, the majority, it says micro enterprises. I mean, that's a huge amount of people where little capital is sort of infused, right? And so how would you explain to an entrepreneur how to better develop an awareness in the market? I'm looking at the second stage firms. Wow. And innovation-led companies have a big market potential, but that's a significant amount of the pie chart.
Right. So the micro enterprises should be given the same attention as the 289,000 innovation-led startups that we see, you know, that they're the typical Silicon Valley that we imagine, that most of the media addresses as startups.
Mm-hmm. So I find this interesting. Let's talk about this lean startup method.
Okay. So there are startup problems that we've seen after seeing thousands of entrepreneurs. Number one, they love their product too much, and their family loves their product too much, or their service too much.
Yeah.
They don't have a business plan. They don't have an outline for moving forward. And then the third thing is there's no tested demand. And that's the number one reason for startup failure, is that there's no market need for the product or service that they're selling. And then inadequate funding. So the lean startup method addresses all of these startup problems because it involves getting your customer involved with the whole process. So the solution, you start by building and refining, and then you get out and talk to people. You make assumptions about your growth, and you get out and make sure those assumptions are correct. So you might think, this is my target market. Get out there and talk to people and make sure the people you're talking to are affirming that they're your target market. So you go through the build, refine, measure the customer reaction, and maybe then you tweak your business model a little bit and tweak your assumptions about your target market and come back, learn and innovate, and develop a loyal customer base. So while talking to people, they'll become your followers, and hopefully you can bring them into your startup solution, and they can start liking your product. They can start giving you funding. They can prove that there is market demand.
And that's what I find so interesting, right? It's kind of basic. Okay, so one, well, if you love your product too much, you know, you have some individuals who are like, this is my baby, and nobody wants to hear that someone else doesn't like their baby, right? So it's almost like, how do you break folks out of the box so that they're a little bit more malleable and can be agile to whatever feedback they get?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Being agile is so important, because maybe you don't have to give up your product idea. Maybe you just need to tweak it a little bit. So let's say you're selling umbrellas, and that's common, but maybe you choose a different location. So sell them at the airport as people are coming off the planes. And that might be just a way to tweak your product idea to get more sales.
So you're not saying necessarily tweak the business. It could also be potentially the market, meaning the audience, right?
Yes.
So that would probably come to planning. Like, who is your audience? And how would you say the best way to define your audience is? Like, where do you think that comes in play with the ideation of a particular product?
So most people think their audience is 16 to 75-year-olds.
Oh, that's a big stretch.
That's a big stretch. And there's no way you can effectively market to all of those age groups. So what we suggest is that you get out of the building, talk to, you know, choose a few market segments. So maybe you choose 25 to 35-year-old females. Get out and make sure that they're interested in the problem that you're solving, because basically your startup is solving a problem for a group of people. So you need to find out which group of people that are you're solving a problem for. So check with the 25 to 35-year-olds, and then maybe that doesn't work, check with teenagers. So you just have to keep, like you said, an agile mindset.
That's great. And so once you've then tested that space, then maybe that really lends to individuals who in the testing process were like, hey, I want to support this. I think it would seem to me that once you start to get the positive feedback in whichever market it is, right, then you can start to speak to funders about being a little bit more specific about the market, which makes you sound, of course, like you've done some market testing. And then maybe that would lead to more opportunities for funding.
Right. Or, there is crowdfunding. And in crowdfunding, you can bring your prospective customers on board and they can become your funders. So you never know, maybe someone you're talking to during your market research, your customer discovery could become a funder.
That's really great to hear because, when we talk about individuals who are creating businesses, CCE focuses on the creative industries. And in some cases, the creative is their business, right?
Right.
And I think that that's a unique sweet spot because right now, if we were to look at just say the music industry alone, there are some individuals that are having extreme success in a short amount of time based on, let's say, their Instagram followers, right? That doesn't speak to the greater market of the music industry because the question is, if you're able to put auto tunes or I always get this wrong, but whatever the tools are over your voice to make it sound like you can sing, right? But then somebody asks you to sing live and it's like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's even with the musicians, right, having to figure out their space and figuring out if the market really likes their voice or the market likes them. Now, this is an interesting space because some people just have great lifestyles that they're able to put on Instagram or some of these social media networks, and it drives up the interest, and yet it doesn't necessarily support the business. And that's an interesting dynamic that we're seeing right now. The same thing is actually happening, believe it or not, with visual arts. There are professional visual artists, maybe call them blue chip artists whose work's amazing. And then you have some who are jumping into the market, just throwing paint to canvas. It looks amazing, but again, it's quick. It hasn't been tested. It doesn't have market value. So I just wanted to share how in the creative industries, some of these same conversations and same plans can be implemented.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, what if an artist found a target market or a mural artist found a community and a city that wanted a mural and then involved them in the process? Wouldn't the end product be much better because they got customer involvement?
Wow. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Oh, that brings up a good point. Well, I'm really excited about what you do. And I would love it if you tell our entrepreneurs how to find you, how to sign up. What's the process?
Sure. So I work at the Women's Business Development Center, and my email address is mmitchell@wbdc.org. It's there running at the bottom of the screen. We offer free one-on-one advising sessions, so you are always welcome to email me, and I can send you up my calendar link to set up a time to meet with me. I would love to help you get from idea to a successful product or service.
That's really wonderful. Maura, I've got to say, you must have a team. I just want to make sure people are going to start emailing you and it's like, in fact, pre this call, it was recommended by another friend that we should definitely sit with you. Personally, as a serial entrepreneur myself and as the director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, we're really excited to be able to further this conversation in length coming forward in Q2. So I would ask all of our viewers to definitely check our CCE Global Industries website and look forward to one of our longer events with you because, this is just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
But it's really made me sort of think about, having created other businesses and watched them flourish, but also just thinking about benchmarks, right? I recently had a conversation with a coach, former NBA player who became a coach, and they really helped me to understand the importance of milestones or benchmarks. And I said, wait a minute, is that kind of like you have these, you do all of the work, on the court, you play all of the teams, then you get to these playoffs, right? Which are like, one could call them milestones. And as you win, then you get to the championship. So I started to think a little differently too around ideating around one's business. So it's been a pleasure to talk to you. I'm so glad you joined us today.
Oh, it was my pleasure too.
Yes, the last day of Women's History Month. And I look forward to our ongoing relationship.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sadia.
Absolutely.
And good luck to everyone out there. Yeah, I'm happy to be an accountability partner to work with you as you move forward.
That is so key. Accountability.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Maura. It's been a pleasure. Be well, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for taking this bite-sized moment in your lunch break to ingest some, I would say, consumable insights. It's been brief, it's been short, but it's been impactful. I encourage you to continue to ideate, stay engaged, and check out the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship website under events, and you'll see that we promote 80% of our partner organizations, events and educational programming, and then we curate the 20% where we find gaps. I'm also very excited. We've been talking about it for almost a year now, but we are very near to launching our e-learning platform, which will allow you to take courses remotely wherever you are, either here locally, nationally, or anywhere in the world. And if you're local, we also encourage you to check out 2112's new Comcast Business Startup Studio. So everything that you've learned today, you can put it into action, create a mini commercial for your business, upload it to your website, and develop that traction that you need for your business sustainable success. I am Sadia Davis, the director for the Center for Creative Entrepreneurship, and thanks to the Coleman Foundation and Arts Alliance for our generous sponsorship. Make it a great day, and we look forward to seeing you soon.